Hi everyone, welcome to another review by the Enriched Fires. That's the name of my channel. Just for Tate here to know, this is Tate. He's a friend of mine from South Plains. We met each other at Bark Center, and it's good to know each other. And something we both have in common is we like movies.
That's very true.
Very true indeed. So what we are doing now is we're going to do a movie review. We're actually going to do two while we're here. Just kind of like a vlog type deal, just discussing the movies and what we think of it. So the first film we're going to do is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh yes, the original. Yeah. The original, mind you.
Yeah, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Do you know what year that was?
1974.
1974. So the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, story is that he invited me to go see a special screening of it at Cinemark 16 down in Lubbock. And I said, yeah, so we went to go see it and saw it on the big screen. So I got to see it for the first time the way people did back then, actually on the theater screen. So, that was kind of cool. But anyhow, so we saw it and, so initial reaction, yeah, it's a pretty good, solid horror flick,
That's a good thing to hear from a first-time viewer like him.
Yeah.
But that's the first time I've seen it in theaters, but I've seen it at least a dozen times at this point in my life.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing it, and I'm just getting now into horror, just so you know, because I haven't seen a lot of horror films, because one is that my parents were not fond of it and didn't want me to watch it while I was back home, and two, it's just, I felt like I should have waited until I can get into this older phase, because I don't want to be like Pablo, where he saw Aliens too young and got scarred for life for a bit. So he made the mistake of watching Aliens too young. But anyhow, now that I'm out and now I feel I'm good, now I can start doing that. So so Texas Chainsaw Massacre, yeah, it's a pretty solid flick. So let's start with good. So tone is pretty good,
Oh yeah, it really captures a sort of documentary feel.
Yeah. It had that feel, and it just that look to it too.
More like a snuff film when you think about it, which is bad in one way but awesome in another.
Yeah.
Awesome in the sense that it's not actually a snuff film.
Yeah, in that sense. So just so you know, we're not going to do any spoilers here in this first part. We'll let you know when we get into spoilers. So first thing, first thing that I want to say is that this movie knows how to make the character or the setting feel isolated. It does that super well. Mm-hmm. When these people are alone with the murderer, Leatherface, it just feels like they're all alone. They have no help. They just because of its setting and just the way they keep it just focused on the kids, and nobody else really comes in too much.
It doesn't feel as though any of the events were intended. It's kind of a movie that happens as it goes.
Yeah.
And it gives off the vibe that everything that happens is because the teenagers were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. It's pretty much that. It feels very down to earth and eventful, and just something, and it just flows together like one thing happens after the other. It feels very realistic. That's what I want to put there. And just keeping it simple. It's a very simple, just premise. Just keeping it simple and just keeping it focused on this thing instead of...
You gotta keep it simple on $300,000
Yeah, which I don't know what that is, a flush of inflation, but yeah, that was...
I think it's barely $1 million today. Barely. So, yeah, I could be completely wrong though. I'm not very good at
if we're basing off that, then yeah, that is a pretty low budget. Like the new It movie had $35 million under its belt. So yeah, so that's pretty low budget. So that's something good. Is there anything particularly that grabs you about it?
Well, it's one of those films. I remember reading up about people who used to go in and see it, and they would talk about how violent it was. Which is interesting because looking back on it, almost all violence is off screen. Originally that was done because they were trying to maintain a PG rating, because they were having issues with the ratings boards. But the problem is that whenever you leave the carnage off screen, that leaves more to the imagination and can make it even more terrifying than when it's on screen, thus cementing its R rating.
Yeah.
Either way you look at it, whether with the blood or without it, it's still got an R rating because of that.
Yeah, and the intensity. And this was in the time, PG-13 did not exist in this time, did it?
No, PG-13 came about 10 years later.
Okay, so anyhow. But yeah, so second thing that I think this film does extremely well is keeping, after a certain point in this film, the intensity never lets up to the very end. It keeps the intensity going. It never lets up. It keeps the scares going. It keeps, like you on the edge of your seat from like a certain point on the movie to the end.
Which is saying a lot because the entire tone, the entire way that it feels up to that point is already really depraved and upsetting.
Yes.
Like from start to finish, it's just so nihilistic and bitter.
Mm-hmm.
Like you as an audience member shouldn't even be there.
Mm-hmm.
Watching this movie that they're trying to make money off of.
Yeah. So it's just, but that's just the two biggest things for me is that it knows how to make, it makes you feel, the audience feel like isolated, alone with these people, and keeps up the intensity throughout the majority of the film. So, that's pretty good. That's about all I can, say, I would say from like, spoilers. Like, the kids are likable and the intensity, the violence is pretty bad, yeah. It's just like, just that Leatherface dude. Whenever Leatherface is introduced, because he's going to be introduced eventually, I love the way he's introduced in this film. He just, we'll get, I guess we can get more into that in a second of spoilers, but is there anything else?
I just know that production was crazy, but we could probably get more into that as well.
Okay, so anyhow, I'll say this. I think the film is a very solid horror film. It's very intense. It keeps you feel isolated, and I love it for its simplicity and just the overall making you feel uncomfortable. And it does that well. If you like films that do that, then you're gonna like this film if you haven't seen it. And I would recommend going to see it. How about you?
Absolutely. It's not just one of my favorite horror films, but one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, so anyhow, and so we think about that. If I had to give this a score, if you guys really want to score, I would say maybe in like an 8 or 9 or something like that. I'm leaning towards an 8-ish for me. I think it's a great film. That's just for me if you want score wise.
For me, it's a solid 10. I think I gave it a 7 the very first time I watched it, but it has a sort of effect where every new time that you watch it, it becomes more and more terrifying.
Okay.
It just grows on you with every new viewing.
Yeah, it's just really great.
I can't think of very many that do that, so I had to up the score when I realized that it had that effect.
Well, anyhow, that's our review. So we're not going to go into spoilers now. So pretty much, if you don't want spoilers, then stop right here. So here we go. Spoilers. Okay, so Leatherface's introduction. I love how he just pops in with the hammer, just whoop. That's just a brief. In that shot they did too, where he like pans up and he's just like, ah! That was just
he didn't even make a noise. It's just like, hi Kirk, bam, and then just that sound of it when it hits him, like you can actually hear like the skull shattering into the brain.
Yeah, and then the twitching body.
You don't see that very often in horror films either.
No, and that would happen if you hit your head hard.
Yeah, and so he just hits him again. So now his brain is just complete jello at this point. Drags him in, and then slams a sliding steel shutter door behind him with the eeriest sound.
Yeah.
In the entire movie.
Great. Yeah, so this starts off movie starts off weird. Like it starts with our crew in the van. I don't remember all their names. We have Sally and Franklin, who are brother and sister. Franklin's the one in the wheelchair. Yeah, Franklin's the one in the wheelchair.
Kirk was the guy who investigated the house first with his girlfriend Pam, and then I believe Jerry was Sally's boyfriend.
Okay. So there's their characters. There's the 5 of them, and it focuses on the 5 of them, and it starts off with, with that, they're on the road, and then they have this encounter with that weird hitchhiker.
Well, before then, they went to investigate to make sure at the graveyard that their grandfather's grave didn't get desecrated.
Oh yeah.
Because of the grave robbings in the area.
Yeah, which by the way, did that ever get announced? Was that Leatherface?
That was probably him, but it was especially, I think, Nubbins, which is the name of the hitchhiker. By the way, Nubbins. Nubbins.
So yeah, Nubbins. So for that whole time that he's in the van, that's just super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He's so honest.
Which was also really terrifying, probably especially for back then, because it was the norm to pick up hitchhikers.
Yeah.
It was a regular thing that you could just do without much of a thought, because people were able to invest, or it seems as though people were able to invest more trust in strangers' help back then.
Yeah. So anyhow, but that, the encounter, and it's just like, pretty much, if you want to know why you don't pick up hitchhikers, just watch that.
Yeah, it's probably the reason most people stop doing that.
Yeah, just in the sense, it's just, he takes the pick, he like cuts his hand and then cuts Franklin's hand, and then I'm just like, get out. And I would be like that too. I'd be like, get out of the freaking car. You're gone. Go ahead and walk the rest of the way. I don't care.
Let's not forget the most horrible thing, which is whipping out your camera and randomly taking a picture. And then demanding $2 because it's a good picture.
Yeah, it's a good picture. Like, buddy, I can take that with... Like, nowadays it'd be like, buddy, I can take that with my phone. I don't need that.
It didn't turn out so good.
It didn't turn out so good. It's just like, it's like the people on Hollywood Boulevard, just like, you took a picture with me, so now I want money. And just like, no, not just that. But anyhow, so it goes after that. So after they drop him off, it just...
And for the record, the reason that you immediately feel worried when they pick up the hitchhiker is because he just oozes instability. He's a scrawny guy with long hair. He has a lot of articles on him, like a pouch made out of fur, like made out of animal hides. And he has this gigantic red birthmark that covers a huge part of his face.
Yeah, he has weird facial expressions. I guess just like.
And he talks really good about slaughtering cattle.
Yeah, he talks really good.
They take the head and they boil it, except for the tongue. Then they scrape all the flesh away from the bone.
Just like, yeah, this is something like, I feel like that this would be something farmers or people who do that job would talk about, but not normal people, because the girls in the back just like, God, can we talk about something else? But, it goes in there. So, and then they go to the gas station, like, we ask, like, do you have gas? Like, nope, we don't have gas, because the truck's coming and stuff, and then, like, you're like, let's go to, what was it, Franklin's uncle's house?
Franklin and Sally's grandfather's house.
His
old house.
The old house,
that their father now has control over.
Yeah.
But he ain't there.
No, he ain't there. It's just empty, it's old, it's rustic, I'm just like, and then what was it, Kirk and Pam decide to go swimming, and at that point I'm like, all right, here's where, it's about to go down.
Yeah, they try. Franklin tells them where the water hole is. They go over there, it's all dried up because it's been sucked up by Texas.
Yep, Texas is a very dry place.
It can be, especially that central area.
Yeah, I wouldn't know from living in Austin. We were on a drought for like years. It's just terrible. But they go there and then trying to. What was it they were trying to do? Why did they go this?
They see a house off in the distance, and they're thinking that Kirk's thinking that if they give him some money and maybe his guitar, that they could provide him with some gas. Because they hear the generator running.
Mm-hmm. And the generator's running, and they go into the gas. And then it pretty much just leads to Kirk getting axed off by Leatherface.
We probably should have waited to describe his death.
Yeah.
To now. But doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
now.
well, yeah, you do know if you see. So anyhow, and then when Pam goes in and then it just goes into that room, there's just multiple shots of all the bones. It just holds on the bone shot, and she's just saying it for a few times, and I'm just thinking in my mind why aren't you leaving? Are you that shocked? Like, how long was she in there? Be like, if that were me, I'd be out by now.
Yeah, that might be the one thing that I have in it. Except if she was in shock, I can understand that. But it's kind of like looking around. You're down there on the floor, just rolling around in feathers.
Yeah.
Like
something is off.
Yeah, because it's just a room full of furniture furnished out of bones, animal, and human remains.
Mm-hmm. It's just like, dang, like, and in the movie does multiple shots showing the room and all the bones and all the decorations all in that room for like a pretty long while, and then like she tries to run away, but Leatherface gets her. And hangs her on a meat hook, which at first I thought that was gonna like go through her face and out her mouth, but no, this is 1974. They can't do that quite yet. They don't have.
Yeah, they gotta make it more painful.
Yeah,
for
in
her.
sense, and then as she's on the meat hook, he's seeing him slice up Kirk's remains.
Yeah, Leatherface just starts chainsawing Kirk's body up right in front of her.
Yeah, just like, I want to show you a magic trick. I'm gonna make his arm disappear.
I think it's also a really cool aspect that in the entire thing, Leatherface can't say a single word.
No, he can't say. He just makes noises, just grunts.
Yeah,
And
he makes animal noises. He grunts. He speaks gibberish, but he cannot say a single word.
Yeah, pretty much so. And it just goes like that. So then, the next one to get axed off is Jerry, who goes to find them after they don't come back for a while, and he goes through there, and he gets into the house and then finds Pam's body still alive in the freezer. Mm-hmm. It pops up in that freezer, and then turns around. There's Leatherface. Plop, knocked out, just like before.
Yeah, he absolutely got his head caved in.
Yep. And and then the body's still trying to escape. It's like, no, get back in the freezer. Shut it. He just
shoves her back in there.
Shoves her back in there.
Coming from, what am I to do?
Yeah.
But he does it in a terrifying way. Of course.
He does.
He's got it. Zooms in on him a bit, and it shows that he's even got serrated teeth.
Yeah, right? He does. His teeth are messed up.
Yeah, which I think was also part of the inspiration behind one of the characters in Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, really?
That was kind of an homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But anyhow, yeah. And so...
But that's a review for another day.
Yeah, when I see it. So anyhow, that happens, and then pretty much it's nighttime now, and now what is it, Franklin and Sally?
Yeah, they have no idea where their friends are.
Yeah, and Franklin's performance in this is kind of, seems a little cheesy, but I don't mind that.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's just wheelchair bound, if he's also kind of slow.
Yeah.
It seems like he is. But either way,
yeah,
the actor who's playing him was method acting.
Yeah. He was just, he was like, Sally, no, I want to come with you.
Sally, they got the keys. We got no keys.
Yeah, just wants to figure out.
All right, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
I can give you the flashlight.
Yeah. Just like, no, I want the flashlight. So, anyhow, so they go try to find, they go and try to find, their friends there, and then pretty much, wandering along, they come across the house again, and it's like, okay, so what's going to happen here? And then he's like, Sally, I think I heard something. He points the flashlight, Leatherface, chainsaw into Franklin, and
which is a very interesting change of pace, because you don't necessarily expect Leatherface to come after you.
No.
Is the 3 time when Kirk, Pam, and Jerry each got theirs, they all went and investigated the house.
Yeah.
But Leatherface comes out of nowhere from out in the woods in the middle of the night to hunt down Sally and Franklin. And he gets Franklin. Oh, he gets him real good.
Yeah, just constant.
In fact, for a movie called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Franklin's the only one directly killed by a chainsaw.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, he's the only one who's killed by a chainsaw. And the other guy was cut up by a chainsaw, but he wasn't.
Yeah,
really
but
with it.
he got bashed in the head twice.
Yeah.
with
With the hammer, yeah. It's just, yeah. So that's, he's the only one who got killed by a chainsaw. I would say cornily, but I'm just like, yeah, this is 1974. I thought it was like, yeah, you use the editing to your advantage. And then, Sally's just screaming. And pretty much, this is what I was saying before, pretty much from that point on, it's intense throughout until the very end. Because, like, Leatherface chases her and she's just screaming and running, and that goes on for, like, long.
about 6 minutes worth of just her being chased.
Yeah, she runs into the house, like goes upstairs, tries to, she jumps out the window, just to escape Leatherface. And Leatherface is just constantly just chasing, just with the chainsaw in the air. And he's cutting up the branches and just like, you probably could just maybe run through, but whatever. It is like cutting through the chainsaw, she's running, she's screaming, and then, and then he pretty much chases us back to the gas station, and it's pretty much revealed there, like, this guy's involved too. At first I was thinking like this guy was gonna like offer her as like a sacrifice, like please don't hurt me, Leatherface, kind of deal.
No, he's one with the family.
Yeah, one with the family. So
all part of the family.
Yeah, so he bounds her up, takes her back to the house, and it is pretty much from that point on, she's terrified. It's uncomfortable. She is just freaked out the entire time, just screaming, just terrified in the eyes, sweating, dirty, and everyone is just, being just evil to her.
Yeah, they're just laughing. This is normal to them. They're cannibals.
Yeah,
they're a family of cannibals.
Yeah, and then like the scene with the old grandpa. That's what that old guy was. Like grandpa, like sucking her blood, just like she's just like, I don't want to be drawn blood that way, never.
Yeah. Which fun fact about that, they had a tube running up Marilyn Burns' finger to cut, but Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface, he couldn't get right, so it's just, he had a moment of, I'm sorry, Sally, and then just, he actually cut her finger and started giving the guy and the grandpa makeup her real blood to suck on. Which is really good because AIDS wasn't a thing in 1974.
No. But anyway, so yeah, that happens, and then like she's bound up at the table, and are they eating are they eating human remains?
Oh yeah, like they basically just took some human stuff,
Here's your
made
friends.
it up into sausages and assorted cuts, and are just enjoying that. And something that I didn't even notice until the screening is that Leatherface even went back and got Franklin's wheelchair and brought it back to the house.
Yeah. Just like, oh, let's take this.
And
we could
just
have
chilling
good
in the
use.
corner.
Yeah.
And Leatherface even swapped skin masks for one.
Yeah, and that's what
resembled more-
confused me, because I was like, is this Leatherface? Did he switch masks? Because it wasn't until I asked him afterward, like, was that Leatherface? He's like, yeah. It's like, oh. For a second there, I was thinking it was another member of the family because it changed his mask. Like, it's like, this is Leatherface Jr. or something. But no. Just, I didn't understand. So, just in that sense, so, pretty much stuff in the house happens isn't comfortable. They try to chop off her head.
Well, they're gonna bash her.
Yeah,
The idea is that, they're gonna let their grandpa kill her,
with
a sledgehammer, just like he used to do back in the good old days.
Yes.
Slaughtering cattle.
Yeah, so just for that, and then
But then, because they're not very overly bright, they're not. They get into when things get intense for them and excitable.
Mhm.
The hitchhiker actually, how she got away is he actually let her go because he was reaching for the sledge because he just got impatient with it. He's like, let me do it. So then she flails, runs straight out, crashes through another window, and now she's back outside the house.
Yeah, and now she's running away, and then she comes across the street.
Which they kept her in the house all night. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
And when she finally breaks out, it's morning again.
Yeah, it's morning. It's daylight. And then and then the last, which is also an intense but kind of a little hilarious scene. It's just she comes across the street, and then there's a trucker and hey, save me! And then he's like, what's going on? And then like chainsaw guy, and the truck driver's like, oh, don't get out of here.
And then it looks like Leatherface put on another different mask.
Yeah.
As well. It looks like he just sliced Divine's face off and stuck it on him.
Yeah, kind of new. And then it's just, and then like, you know, they're just trying to run away and like trying to get into the car and like lock Leatherface out of the car. He keeps getting in and like she go into the truck and then another car comes by and then she just gets in the back, just like go, go, go. And the car drives off and then she's like crying, but then she suddenly starts laughing.
Yeah, she has been just driven nuts by the situation. So she's crying and laughing her eyes out.
Uh-huh. We're making a video. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So, yeah, that was my brother, by the way. And it pretty much ends with Leatherface just flailing the chainsaw around, just like if he's angry, like, no, my kill got away. No, I'm just gonna fight. At first, I was thinking like, oh, don't do that. You're gonna cut your own hand off.
It's a beautiful ballerina dance.
Yes.
Of pure terror.
Yeah, it is. So the movie ends there and just cuts, and it just cuts to credits, which, by the way, are the shortest credits I've ever seen out of any movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, it kind of helps that they showed the majority of them at the start.
Yeah, they showed a good amount at the start, and it goes through and just like, wow, that was quick. Just whatever. But anyway, it ends there. So yeah, so it just goes through there, and it's just quite a grand scheme of things. But yeah, after going out of the movie, I'm just like, yeah, this was a pretty solid film. And for its time, yeah, it did good, and I can see why, you know, this was a breakthrough. And, you know, I didn't know the thing with the dead armadillo. Mm-hmm. Was it that in the beginning, dead armadillo? Because that was like the poster for like when I bought the ticket. It was like, does that a dead armadillo amount to anything? No, not really, just dead armadillo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of in a way, it was supposed to show the movies starting off not caring about like the inherent events that were to take place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this thing, like I said, it's set really down to earth, and it makes you feel isolated, and it keeps up the intensity. Pretty much after Franklin gets killed, the intensity never lets up. It's always scary. It's intense. It's frightening for her. You feel bad for her. You just want her to see her get out of this alive. And you know, like when Leatherface is chasing her, just like, man, like, he's gonna get her. Like she's been running forever. You know, she's gonna get tired and like stuff. You know, it's just that kind of deal. But yeah, this film is, like I said, very solid and keeps up the intensity and does what it's supposed to do, terrify you. In the sense, you know, I didn't think anyone else was coming in, and like you said, I thought Leatherface was going to come to them, but no, they pretty much go to him until the last two people. Mm-hmm. You know, I was not expecting that, and you know, and I didn't expect anyone else to be involved except Leatherface, because that's all I hear from the movies, Leatherface. You know, I didn't know there was a family or that hitchhiker was part. I was thinking that hitchhiker was going to come in later, because like, why would you introduce him? You know, if he's not going to come in later to some point. But anyhow, yeah, so that's I find this a pretty solid film, and if you're a fan of horror, I would classics.
We didn't even talk about the score.
Oh, the score.
Yeah,
as in the soundtrack, you mean, or
that too. But they used a couple country songs for background noise in some scenes, most notably when they're in the van with the hitchhiker. Yeah. But the majority of sounds that replace the music throughout the film are supposed to be noises that an animal would hear inside of a slaughterhouse. So there's not any traditional strings, no trumpets, nothing to elicit horror in any other way, just sounds of metal grinding, buzzsaws starting, animals howling and shrieking.
Yeah.
So it really just helps you feel like a helpless piece of meat.
Yeah.
All throughout.
Yeah, so it's just like that constant going throughout, and also something else is that there's a lot of these shots what helps intensify and like helps these scenes become uncomfortable is how long they hold on, like especially with like Sally when she's like stuck in the chair and stuff. They do a lot of close-ups of her and like of her eyes, you know, to help you feel uncomfortable. They're shoving her terrified face into you. That's how they make you feel.
And shoving her face into you.
Yeah, just close up of her face, just her looking terrified. Yeah, that's how they help.
Those were probably also some of the best eyeball blood vessels in all of 1974. I mean, for 1974, that looked amazing, that
Yeah.
eyeball close-up.
Yeah, that did. It was like, it was like, wow, that's pretty clear on. But
How
anyhow,
you get that with that budget?
yeah, he's like, what did they use? Yeah, now I'm gonna be like, what do they use? But in that sense, but that's pretty much I guess the summarization of this movie. Like I said, it's intense, it's great, and it's for a film with that budget, it's really good, really well done. So that's about all I have to say. Anything else?
No, my throat's starting to get sore too.
Okay, well anyhow, we hope you enjoy this review, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.